Local 1932, protecting the future of working families, Teamsters, 1932.org.
Today is a wonderful day in Southern California. We're going to have a fantastic show. If you don't know me, I've been on guest on this show several times before. I was previously on the television version of Real Men of Real Estate. I am a real estate investor, land acquisition and entitlement expert, land developer, construction manager, and I am the president of Coast to Coast Equities, Inc. Today I've got a fantastic show for you and a very, very knowledgeable guest that you're going to love hearing from. Bill Tan. Bill Tan is with us today. Bill Tan is a real estate investor. He owns BT Investments. Also, Bill Tan Speaks. He is a real estate educator as well, a mortgage investment expert, over 30 years of experience. Bill's clients rely on his business insight and industry knowledge to buy and sell properties, identify secured investment opportunities, and find ways to generate monthly income through investments. He specializes in putting together tough real estate and note deals. Welcome, Bill Tan, to Real Men of Real Estate.
Thank you, Steve.
Happy to have you here. If you don't know Bill Tan and you're in the Southern California or even nationally in the real estate market, then you're not. You need to know him. You need to know who he is, what he does, and where to find his expertise. He is very much connected across the country with the best of the real estate experts. He also owns a Los Angeles Real Estate Investment Association. He runs that. He has for how many years now, Bill? Since about 10 years or so?
11 years now.
11 years now?
As of this month.
Okay, and right now you're completely meeting remote ever since the pandemic started, but it's actually increased I would say increased both the numbers of attendees at your meetings and probably the quality level of a lot of the people in your meetings.
Not only the numbers, the quality, but also we now get people attending our meetings from all over the country.
Yes, I see people from across the country and even some out of the country sometimes that are popping in. And like I say, I think that's a lot to do why the quality has gone up, because you can get the best of the real estate people out of multiple markets. And it was already a good club even before that, and now it's just, I think, exploded even since you've gone remotely. This is a club that does monthly networking and education, ongoing training for real estate investors, both active, experienced investors, and those that are kind of kicking the tires. So, Bill, tell us a little bit. One, why did you start the LA REIA, and what motivates you to keep doing that? That's a lot of extra work.
It certainly is. And as a matter of fact, I used to run the San Diego Creative Investors Association, SDCIA.
Yes, and for those out there, if you don't know, I'm on the board of SDCIA. Bill was the director of that, I want to say, before I was involved, I want to say about 20 years ago now, right?
I left it about 6 or 7 years now.
7 years, but you were there for a long time though, right? I want to say
25 years.
25 years, right?
Yeah, it's there a long time.
Yeah, long time. Okay, so go ahead. How did you get LAREI going?
I was approached by a couple of people I'm part Chinese.
Okay.
I'm a mutt,
Okay.
Hawaiian Chinese. And
Okay.
I was approached by some people who thought highly of me, and to create a Chinese real estate investment club. So we started it in the Orange County area. And after a little while, I discovered that it wasn't just Chinese that were attending the meetings. And then there was another real estate club that was meeting a week later, and we were getting the same people.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to move it to another area of Los Angeles and change the names to the LAN Asian Real Estate Investors Association.
Okay, expanding out of one country to the whole continent, okay?
Well, we started getting a lot of the Asian invasion is what I called it.
The Korean investors and Japanese.
Japanese,
okay.
Chinese. And so then after a while, it wasn't just Asians that were attending it.
You got the Caucasian invasion.
Got Caucasian invasion and also Hispanics. And
Right.
so it just made better sense to just change the name to LA REIA.
Okay, and I know there's a lot of clubs out there that kind of specialize in certain, I guess, subculture groups. like Tom Chappelle, who runs his group. And I've noticed that they start that as a kind of a home place for people that may feel like they don't have a club that fits them because they're in their own little microculture. But they find out pretty quickly that that assimilates out, and next thing you know, they're back to being in the broader group of real estate investors, because real estate investment itself is its own little fraternity. And it seems there's a lot of people that do it, and yet it seems like a kind of a small fraternity, even nationwide. There seems to be the same people keep showing up in it.
Well, we have a lot of new people too.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things of LAREIA is we're a safe place to learn. So people come to learn there. And fortunately, we attract also very experienced investors like yourself. You attend our meetings.
I do. I thoroughly enjoy them. And honestly, I am one that's fully benefited by the move to remote because of the pandemic shutdown, because I always wanted to attend your meetings, but to try and get from downtown San Diego up to the San Gabriel Valley on a Wednesday night in LA traffic is just absolutely impossible. And I wouldn't get home till 3 a.m. So going online allows me to be a part of that club. And I love your club.
Thank you. And it also, the online has expanded it to nationwide, because I have contacts throughout the nation, and now I've been exposed to other people, and we have regulars from throughout the country that regularly attend.
Yeah, you have kind of a Florida posse in there, I see.
Well, we have Florida, we have, literally from Washington to Florida, from Hawaii to New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts.
So there are people in that meeting that are just had lunch, and there's people in that meeting that are way past their bedtime.
Way past our bedtime. In fact, every meeting we have networking to begin with, and then we have the presentation by the presenters, the speakers. Then we have a Q&A afterwards, and after that we have an after-meeting meeting. And the after-meeting meeting is my favorite time, because that's when I get to ask people, what did you learn at the meeting? And ask people if they have any questions or if they have any real estate challenges that they need help with. And we have had people from particularly Florida stay on to our meetings, which one time lasted to 2 a.m.
Right. Yeah, Florida time. Yeah, which is
No.
our time.
2 o'clock our
Okay,
time.
so that's 5 o'clock in the morning. They were up
Yeah,
all night.
they
They
were
had
greeting-
breakfast afterwards.
They were greeting the sunshine.
Yeah, sun peeks up over the Keys and they're having breakfast.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Now, one thing I like about your club is when you went remote, a lot of clubs went remote and they completely lost the networking aspect of the meeting. There's several clubs that I have not attended since the pandemic, because I really go there for the networking. Some of the speakers are good, but I'm like you. I've been through so much of that do I want to stay up late for another speaker? And I've heard this person a bunch of times before, and I don't mean to disrespect any of the speakers out there, but your club, I go there for the networking. I want to meet people. I want to talk to people. I like hearing the ideas. I like the collaboration. Your club remotely has done better than any of the other clubs as far as you really understood how to use the Zoom rooms to break people out. It's not a big mass of all these people with a bunch of squares and you can't get your word in edgewise. You're putting people into rooms. It looks like you rotate them about every 10 to 12 minutes, anywhere from 3 to 6 people in a room so they can actually talk to each other. And you do multiple rounds of that. And then, as you said, after the meeting, for anybody that wants to hang out, there's more of the open forum style. And the fact you actually go through and do roll call, you call every single person in there and let them put their 2 cents in. What did you learn? What questions do you have? How is this applicable to you? And I find that to be immeasurably valuable. And you're one of the very few people that successfully managed to do that remotely.
I think because I'm also a teacher.
Okay.
And I want them to learn. I want the people to learn, and I want them to apply it, take action.
Right. And I've made some great contacts through that club. And some I've never met personally, but I see their little box. Sometimes I don't even see their face, because some people are shy. They don't put a picture up or anything. It's just their name or their website or something. But I make a connection. I'll follow up with them. And sometimes they just want information. We just share ideas. Sometimes they're interested in participating in some of our projects. But I find it very useful and personally educational to talk to people from all different stripes and all different levels of expertise to share ideas. And that's what they do. And that provides that venue for us to do that. So I'm very appreciative of that. Now, that leads to the question of what kind of people come to this group? What kind of people do you get?
We get people from all over. I mean, literally from all over, and from different investment types. We have people who are retiring. We have people who are young, who are just starting out. They always come to the meetings and they're afraid because they're newbies. Well, we're a safe place to learn. We won't put anybody in front of the group that we haven't checked out ahead of time. And we tell everybody, before you get involved with anybody in any type of opportunity or education, talk to other people. Talk to the other people that are in the group and see what they have to say, because everybody's there to help each other.
That's right. And I know you're big on telling people, do your homework, do your due diligence, don't be lazy, don't assume that somebody standing up here must be expert and honest and those kind of things. Just because they showed up to the meeting doesn't mean they're being vouched for.
It just means they can speak well.
Exactly. And there's some good salespeople out there. So, and it's always good for anybody. And so I would tell the audience right now, if you're listening, if you want to put your foot in this, or even if you're already involved in real estate investing, do your homework. Have a good real estate attorney, have a good CPA, tax planner, people you can talk to, because there may be things that somebody's talking about and it works for them, but your situation is different. And you may not get the same results as them, maybe even tax-wise, because your situation is different than them. So always, always, always do your homework and find experts you trust to talk to.
Develop a team.
Develop a team. That's right. It's not a solo enterprise. So nothing out there is, don't think that you can do this on your own. If you want to do something all by yourself, take up pottery. If you want to do real estate investing, understand you're going to be doing this not by yourself, because there's just too much to know. Now, Bill and I have both been around the industry for over 30 years. We're experts. And let me tell you what, I am still a newbie in a lot of these little areas and a lot of niches in this industry.
And there's so many niches.
There
are so many different niches. And when people come to me, they say, I don't have any money, I don't have any training, what should I do? I said, well, first off, get educated.
That's right.
Because there's a favorite saying of mine, that a person with experience meets a person with money, the person with experience gets the money, and the person with the money gets the experience, and it may not be a healthy one.
That's right. So we're going to have to go to a commercial break here. We're going to be right back. We're talking to Bill Tan. He owns LAREIA and also is an experienced investor. We're going to be right back after this, and we're going to dig into some of his areas of expertise like notes and secured investments.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career,
because they actually have experience working in the field.
The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services, including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
My name is Curtis the Boss Doss, and I want to remind you that the solar energy tax credit expires at the end of the year. This could potentially cost you $5,000 to $10,000 in tax-free money if you wait until January of 2022. Give my friend Ken a call at 951-551-1350. Let me repeat that number, 951-551-1350. I would be remiss as your local realtor not to make you aware of these financial benefits. You can also email kcaaproducer@gmail.com, and they will be more than happy to send you the information. This is Curtis the Boss Doss, and it is time to prepare for your year end. Thank you for your time.
Hello and welcome back to Real Men of Real Estate. I am your host, Steve Matley. Today we are talking with the famous Bill Tan from the LA Real Estate Investor Association and from BT Investments. Bill, I want to talk to you about one of the things that you are truly an expert in, and I know you've done very well at it, and that is investing in secured investments, basically notes. Now, a lot of people out there don't understand even what that means. I talk to people, they don't know what notes are. One thing I do where I teach at a college, and one thing I do is that I try to explain notes, I pull a dollar bill out of my pocket, and I say, see right here, it says a note.
Federal Reserve note
It's
at
a
the top
note.
of it.
That's right. The piece of paper itself has no actual value, but it represents something that has value. It represents the full value of the goods and services of the United States of America. That's what backs that up, which right now may not be as strong as we hoped it was, but that's a different story. So,
And because there's so many more notes.
that's right. So explain to us for what you do. You're doing secured investments through notes. Explain to our listeners what that is.
Sure. When we call something a note, we're generally talking about a promissory note, which is a promise to pay. And in my business, I refer to real estate secured notes, meaning this promise to pay secured by actual real estate. Not
So how is it
something
secured?
else. Now, we secure it by putting what's called a lien or deed of trust here in the state of California, a mortgage on the East Coast. They also have something called a contract for deed in the Midwest. These are all things that secure my IOU, because a promissory note is an IOU. That's what a note
right.
is. I owe you this much, and I will pay you so much a month for so many months.
Okay.
If it's monthly.
And
If
so
monthly.
it's the collateral on the
So-
loan, basically.
So because I may have lent them money, or I may have sold them a property and extended them the equity, my equity in the property, I don't know them from Adam, right? I don't know if they're good people. I don't know if they're going to pay me all the time. I may check their credit, but that doesn't always say everything that they're going to make payments on time. So to make sure that they pay me, just like a institution, I secure their IOU against real estate, and particular real estate, and that real estate has to have so much debt against it, a loan against it. Otherwise, I won't either put a loan against it or I won't extend a note.
Okay.
Extend
So
the credit.
similarly, if I go to buy a car and I'm financing it, I go to the car lot, I give them some money, and then the rest of it, they give me a loan. I take the car. If I do not pay on the car, they come and take my car away from me again because it was secured on the car. Is that
So
correct?
the lender that lent you the money to buy the car, everybody's heard of this, they kept the pink slip.
That's right. And so that means they have the right to
They have
come
the
and
right.
take that car away if I do not pay. Similarly, in a note, a real estate note, if I do not pay the loan for purchasing that property, you have the right, if you own the note, to come and take that property away.
And the mechanism thereof. Yes, there's
Okay.
a mechanism to take it back. And just like the pink slip, we use a deed of trust here in the state of California. That's our pink slip.
Now, how is that different than title? Because if I own a house, I have title to it. It says it's mine.
Yes, and you have what's called a grant deed here in the state of California. It's different in other states, warranty deeds and so on. So you own the property, just that we are lenders against the property. We don't own the property, you own the property, you take care of the property, you're responsible for everything, including making payments to us who lent you the money or gave you the note to own that property.
Okay, so again, going back to the car analogy, it's the difference between the pink slip and the registration.
Pink slip and the
The
registration.
registration says this is my car, I'm responsible for it, I have to pay the insurance on it, I'm the one that can drive it. The pink slip says this is who actually fully owns it, has the asset.
Yes.
Right, free and clear. And so as long as that there's a mortgage on a property or a loan against a property, you don't own it free and clear, you have an obligation to pay someone else for it because they can take that property back if you don't perform.
And unlike a car, you won't have somebody come in the middle of the night and take the car
They'll
back if you
knock
don't
on the door at 6 in the morning and have you removed. It's kind of
Right.
more like it, yes.
No, there's a mechanism here for
Right.
foreclosure. It's called foreclosure.
Right.
And there's a due process that is going through that you use to take back the property if they don't pay you.
Okay. And
Now-
a lot of
now
that.
let me also add that if they're dealing with someone like me, I'm a human being. I can go talk to you and say, hey, what's going on in your life that you're not able to pay me right now? And so because I can do that, then maybe we can work out a different arrangement.
As opposed to Citibank or Bank of America, where it's a faceless corporation somewhere in a tower in New York City and you have no idea who you could talk to.
And it's a JOB to them. It's just cut and dried. They're just going to do it and they don't care.
You're just a number.
They're just a number.
Okay. And so that brings up the other question. Typically, banks, like we just mentioned, or credit unions, or those kind of places, they own these notes. How does an individual person, just you or I, suddenly become the bank and own the note?
Well, one of two ways, okay? If it was an institutionally created note, like what we were just talking about, sometimes they have bad notes. Or sometimes they're acquired by another entity, another bank, and the bank's charter doesn't allow them to own notes.
Okay.
That happened in 1998, where the largest note buyer in the country of private notes got sold to Citibank. Citibank had no idea about seller finance notes, didn't understand them at all, sold off all those notes.
Okay, so that goes into another, basically gets as a market out there to sell these instruments, kind of in a resale market.
There's a resale market, and it is not that well known. It's much more well known now, but it's not as well known as it used to be.
Okay, and so if I buy a note, and so I could actually have the loan for a house, let's say in Columbus, Ohio, even though I live here in California, and those people may or may not even know that they're not with the bank they thought they were signed the papers with, right?
Well, usually they're making payments to somewhere,
right,
and then they get a notification to start making your payments elsewhere.
Okay.
And when that happens, they don't really know what happened, but what happens is that note got sold.
And so they just know all of a sudden they're sending the check to a different address and to a different name, and now you are in place of the bank. So just because you signed the papers for your mortgage at some bank doesn't mean that's who's going to end up holding that loan.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And when I buy the note and I take title to the mortgage. It's called an assignment of the mortgage.
Okay. And then are these performing or non-performing? And you kind of tell the audience what that means, not
Sure.
performing.
Performing notes is when they're actually making their payments on time. They may come a little bit later than they should come, but they're making those payments. That's known as a performing note.
Okay.
If their situation in life changes and they're unable to make payments, which has happened recently, those are called non-performing notes. And there are times when banks and other lending institutions have to sell those off because they can't manage those any longer.
Because they're not getting money on them.
They're not getting any money, and the only way that banks make money is by lending money.
Okay. So here's the question. If you have somebody who's not paying on it, why would you want to buy a debt from someone that's a bad debt? Why would that be a good investment?
Very good question. Now, I'm in the business of buying debt, right? So I have to accept risks. And if I'm going to accept the risk of somebody who's not making a payment, then I am not going to pay the face value on that note. I'm going to pay a fraction of it.
Okay, so I've got a $300,000 house that a valued house, and on it is a $200,000 note. So there's $100,000 equity. They haven't paid on it, so when you buy it, you may pay, say, $100,000 for the $200,000 note secured by a $300,000 property.
That is one scenario. It's not likely. You'll probably pay more than the $100,000 because that $200,000 note has $100,000 of protective equity because the house is worth $300,000.
Okay.
And so whenever you buy a note, you want to check what is the protective equity behind my investment.
And you want it to be as large a positive as possible, probably.
As large a positive as possible. Now, there are first position notes and second position notes. And first position notes are those that were recorded in the recorder's office first by date.
That's probably the original home loan.
That's probably the original home loan. And then if they took out a second, that was taken out at a later date.
So that was for the kitchen remodel or the swimming pool or whatever. Okay.
And so that's in second position. It is in second priority to the first one. And so first priority liens are also always much more valuable. Seconds are less valuable. And so they are sold at much greater discounts.
Okay, and the reason for that is if there was a situation where there was a default and the property was foreclosed, the debts get paid off in the order they were recorded. So first position gets paid off first, then second, then third. So if you are in a lower position, maybe the property is sold, and after they've paid off the outstanding debts, there's not enough to pay off your debt because you're number 3 in line. And of course, the first debt that gets paid off is property tax. Always.
It's property tax.
Yeah.
And because you are in a junior position, we call it junior position, so let's say you're in second position, in order to protect yourself in case of default, you have to make payments on the first.
Okay. So So that means the money there is I'm buying that note for less than it's worth. Now, how do I start making money out of that because they haven't been paying on it? How do I turn that around and make it a positive?
There's two ways. And first and foremost is you can go to the borrower and say, hey, what's changed in your life? Okay. And you say, how much can you afford to pay? Okay. You've been making the payments on the first, or you haven't been making the payments on the first, but what can you afford to pay? If they can't make the payments on the first, then you want to foreclose on the property and take the property back.
Okay. So what you did then was you basically got a piece of property appraised at $300,000 for maybe half of its value by buying the note.
Correct.
Okay.
And if somebody at the foreclosure sale doesn't pay more than that, then you get to own the property.
Okay. And if they do pay more than that, they otherwise you get paid off. for your
Otherwise,
note.
we get paid off.
Okay. So your money's back to you.
Right. So a lot of times, when I'm in second position, I extend payments to the first to protect my position. Then I go through the foreclosure process.
Okay. And then if they start paying, so let's say they were supposed to be paying $1,000 a month and they say, honestly, we can't pay more than $600 a month. That's okay because you got the note at less.
Let's say and this is actual case, let's say it was $100,000 second that the bank just wrote off.
Okay.
They actually just wrote it off. It's a loss. And I bought it for anywhere from $3,000 to $16,000. And if they start making $600 a month payments, I'm as happy as can be.
And they'll do that until the note's paid off. And now you've got a cash flow.
Until the note is paid off. However, they still owe me the $100,000.
That's right.
Because I bought the $100,000 position for only $3,000 to $16,000.
And so whenever they sell the house, you're going to get that back.
I will get that back. Or if they refinance it, if their situation changes, they're able to refinance it, they have to come talk to me and pay it off in full. Now, it's very difficult to buy seconds at that kind of a discount nowadays.
Right. Okay, we're going to have to go to another commercial break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this discussion and we'll get into some more just fascinating, unusual real estate deal making with Bill Tan. Don't go anywhere.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections. Hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career.
Because they actually have experience working in the field.
The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact kcaaproducer@gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's kcaaproducer@gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken.
Hello and welcome back to Real Men of Real Estate. I'm your host, Steve Matley. Today we are in the studio with Bill Tan. Bill, we were talking about notes before the break, and I had one more question on the notes before we move on, and that is, how does somebody get started in doing notes? Because most people don't know anything about it.
Well, they should take a class. They really should.
And where would they take a class?
There are many. Well, there are a few note classes, but there's some books that they can check out.
So they could contact you, because I know you have a company where you train people, right?
Yes.
So they could contact you and you could point in the right direction. So how would they get hold of you? What's your website or what's your phone number?
My website is billtaninvestments.com. That's BILLTAN, investments with an S.com.
Okay, if they go there, they'll find a way to get hold of you and get direction in how to get started in notes or anything else. So that's one step. And then once they learn that, what's kind of the first step? Do they need a lot of cash laying around? How are they going to get involved in this? How do they know who to find?
Well, I think they should take what talents they have,
Okay.
and what they have to work with. Because many people who want to get into real estate don't have any money and and they don't have enough education. So what I say is just start walking neighborhoods that you feel comfortable walking in, and look for houses that are vacant.
Okay, so a vacant house means something's gone wrong.
That means that there's a problem there for some reason or another.
Okay, so if we trace that back, now I find a vacant house, how do I know who to contact about that vacant house?
That's part of your education
Okay,
process
so you go to the
now.
education and you'll learn how to make those connections.
Correct. One easy way is to contact a title company, your local title company. They'll put you in touch with a title rep, and the title rep will give you access to being able to public records to find out who's the owner of the property. Now, the owner of the property may have passed away,
Okay.
so you might have to do additional due diligence to find out who
Who are the
owns-
heirs and assigns? Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, great. Okay, so
You don't need any money to do that, Steve.
you don't need money to do that, no. And what you find out in real estate is you don't have to have 7 figures sitting around in order to start doing real estate. I think a lot of people believe they can't do it because they don't have enough money and it's going to take them so long to save up and they just don't know how to do it. And the fact is there's a lot of money out there, especially right now with pretty low consumer debt. There's a lot of cash available and looming inflation. People don't want it sitting in cash. They want it somewhere else. And there's a lot of people that are more than happy to give you money if you're going to do the work and you're going to make money for them. They'll share with you. So
I tell anybody that wants to get started, learn how to find properties that are opportunities. First, you have to learn how value of properties. Then you can learn what opportunities there are with existing houses that people are living in, but also vacant properties. If you learn how to find good deals, money will chase you.
that's a fact. Okay, so now that gets us into the next topic I want to talk about, which is creative deal making. Because most people out there think, okay, real estate means you call your local realtor because you saw a listing. It was on Zillow, it was on the multiple listing service, whatever. And then we call the realtor and then they show us the property and then we can buy it. And that is one of about 3 million ways you could possibly buy property, but it's the only way most people know. Is the traditional way. So let's talk about how to create. If you just mentioned going out and finding some vacant houses and doing some research, what are some of the things we can do that are probably somewhat unknown, but they're not secret, they're not proprietary, they're just kind of unknown? What are things we can do?
Well, one thing right now is that we have properties that are worth more than they've ever been worth before.
Right, which is
And so if anybody had any loans against that property, if they owed any money, then they have what's called equity.
okay. So the difference between what they owe and what the property would sell for today.
Correct. And so people can now buy properties from existing homeowners and ask the homeowner to finance the sale. So that have the homeowner be the bank. Because what are they going to do with the money? Unless they're going to go buy another property, most likely they're going to put it in the bank.
And actually, if they took all that money, they'd probably give half of that away to the government in the form of taxes. But if they were the financier, they're getting installment payments and they would only owe taxes on the amount of money they collected during that year.
Correct. So you might ask the person, how about if I give you a little bit of money now and some every month
Right.
to repay the debt?
So they may want money now that covers the cost of moving, maybe getting the down payment on where they're going to, or set utilities up, and then a monthly you provide them a little bit of income.
And this is particularly
them out.
effective for someone who's older, who's moving
Retired.
from a bigger house to a smaller.
Okay, great. And so now they have something to supplement their retirement income as well, and basically putting that big asset to work.
If they were to put that money in the bank, right now, I believe banks are paying 0.1 of 1%
Yes,
interest.
it rounds. If you rounded it off to the nearest 2 decimal points, it would be 0.
It'd be 0.
Yes.
And so if you were to pay them 3 or 4%, you're paying them 30 to 300 times more than they would get in a bank.
Absolutely.
And it's secured by the house. That
And
used to
so
live in.
if you, and their security is if you stopped paying, they just come take the house back again and go sell it again to someone else.
Correct.
So what a deal is that? It's almost a no-risk deal. They just have the hassle of having to throw you out of the house is all.
And in addition to that, seller financing, the house may have a loan against it already. And we now have historically low interest rates
That we'll probably not see again.
that we'll probably not see again that are on these homes. And one technique is to buy the house subject to the existing loan that's on it.
Okay, so that means that you are taking their loan over.
You're taking their loan over. You're not assuming the loan, but you're taking over the payments, the responsibility for the payments. That means you don't have to go out and get a new loan.
So now does that mean you pay them and they pay the bank, or you pay the bank directly in their name?
Well, when I do it, I want to protect all parties possible, so we use a servicer, a third-party servicer.
Like an escrow?
Like an escrow.
Right.
The payment goes there, and then they pay the bank, they pay the seller of the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that they have a $1,500 a month mortgage payment that's due, and you're going to pay them $2,000 a month because they're doing a carryback, and so you send the $2,000 with the escrow, $1,500 goes to the bank, $500 goes to the seller, and you're in. And you didn't have to go through the process of qualifying for a loan at the bank with all the paperwork in the background and all the stuff.
And right now, it's more difficult to get a new loan than it is to refinance a property that you already own.
Yes. Yeah, that's what when anybody ever tells me, oh, it's kind of just like it was in 2006, the economy is going to go down. Like, no. Because back then, the local Walmart greeter could have 4 or 5 rental homes based on stated income, and now it takes a lot to get a mortgage. It takes a lot of effort.
Well,
to
you
get
mentioned
loans.
this thing called stated income. That means you didn't have to prove your
That's
income.
what I'm saying. You have these people out there working minimum wage jobs that had 3 or 4 rental houses, and of course, that meant that as soon as a renter moves out, the whole thing collapses and they're done. They have no money.
A house of cards.
It's a house of cards, which is why everything collapsed, and we're nowhere near that situation right now. Entirely different situation. Okay, so what are some other things that we can do that are kind of more creative and maybe less known?
Well, one that people know part of, but they don't know the other half of. One is called a lease option. And that
Okay.
is you rent the property if you're unable to buy it at this time. You rent it till the time you can buy it. And if you structure it properly, if the property goes up in value, you get that increase in value. when
So
it
I
comes time
lock
to
in the
buy it.
price today.
You lock into today's price, and if it goes up, then you exercise the option, and then you get to pocket the difference. If it goes down, you do not exercise your option.
Okay, so now why would an owner want to do that deal with me when they're basically giving up their right to the future appreciation?
Well, everybody has a different situation in life. Now, they may want to, for tax reasons, continue to own the property and lease it out.
They get the mortgage write-off.
They get the mortgage write-off,
Okay.
or they may have the property may be free and clear, and they get the entire income from the lease payment.
Oh, I see. So they would do that because that guarantees them a cash flow instead of just living there and they don't pay anything. Now, if they do that, they can still live there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because you're doing a lease on it, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to move into it.
Correct.
So they can still live there, but now they're getting paid to live in the house they live in exchange for foregoing any future upside. And when you decide to exercise that option, you can buy the house at the price it was the day you made the contract, even if the house is appreciated by 35%.
Well, I have done deals with homeowners where the increase in price, we shared that.
Oh,
profit.
split. Okay.
We split it. And that is sometimes much more attractive.
Well, 50% of something's always worth more than 100% of nothing.
Right. And who's
right?
taking care of the property? I am. They don't take
Okay.
care of it, and they're going to get the benefit from that.
Good. Okay. So it really, to go about this, what you're really doing is trying to figure out, how can I solve this person's problem? What do they need? What would make their life easier? And if I can find a way to do that and also benefit from the transaction, then I've got probably a winning strategy.
Correct. And sometimes they don't realize that they have a problem, but they realize they have a need.
Okay. Yeah. Well, any need we have means there's an unmet problem somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't realize that until you talk to them.
Okay, and a lot of times people don't realize there's a solution to the problem because, again, all we really know, all we're ever taught is 2 or 3 basic ways of doing things.
Correct. They're not educated enough.
Right.
So one reason you want to educate yourself is to be able to show them another way of doing things that you can both benefit from.
And I've discovered that even people that are so-called experts in real estate, people that are real estate agents, that training does not educate you in most of the ways to really make money in real estate or how these things can work.
Real estate agents are taught, in most cases, how to list a property, how to protect their broker, and turn over any financing opportunities to a loan officer.
That's right. And so they're taught the traditional way of doing things.
The traditional
This is
way
our
of
1
doing
or 2 ways of doing everything. That's right.
And one other thing, if you're going to go through a real estate agent to look for deals, just realize that there are hundreds of other eyes looking at those same deals.
That's right. That's why you want to buy. That's why you mentioned going buy the vacant house. Buy something that's not on the listing, and talk directly to the seller. Okay, and so that gets us to another key point, and that is, where do you learn this stuff? You happen to be an expert in providing education to people on a lot of this. So I know you have a calculator workshop where you teach people how to do the basic functions of figuring out payments based on future value and present value, all the kind of stuff that scares us. When we look at these formulas, they go, oh my gosh, I can't do that. You are really good at putting the cookies on the bottom shelf and talking people through. This is a fairly simple calculation, and if you use this formula, you can figure out whether this is going to make money for you or not, or it's a good deal. So explain a little bit about that, and explain what other kind of education you provide.
Sure. I teach a financial calculator classes. I actually teach some of them. And the reason I teach is because finance affects all aspects of our life. You mentioned a car earlier. Cars are financed. Homes are financed. What's the number one financed vehicle? Credit cards.
At the highest possible interest. It's almost
At the
usury
highest-
rates.
The highest possible interest. Hospital debt, student debt. These are all financed. Most people have no idea how those are calculated, and in every case, they are paying what's called interest. And in my classes, I teach them to think of interest as rent, because you are just borrowing the money, you're renting it for a period of time, you have to pay for that renting it, and then you have to give it all back.
That's right.
So I show them to see in their life how much they're paying in rent. Most people have no clue, because when just about everything is sold, if you hear about it advertising, they say it's only $400 a month.
That's right.
They don't talk about the price as much as you can be in this for $100 down and $400 a month.
That's right.
They don't realize how much interest/rent they are paying on that property. So I expose them to that. And then I also show them how we calculate profits in making the note, in the note business, as being a note investor, or how to lend out money, when you lend out money, how you're making money, annuities, discounting cash flows, because most people don't realize that when you buy a note, you're buying a cash flow.
Right. Okay. So let's. I want to finish up that thought when we come back from the commercial break. This is Real Men in Real Estate. We're talking to Bill Tan. We're talking creative deal making. We'll be right back after this, and we'll wrap it up.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services, including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact kcaaproducer@gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation. or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's kcaaproducer@gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Welcome back to Finance Week. Times Real Men of Real Estate. This is your host, Steve Matley. Looking into the show over there. We are with Bill Tan in the studio today. We've been talking creative deal making. And Bill, you talked about your calculator class. You just offered one of those, I believe, for free. Is that correct?
Well, I did an introductory one called Bill Tan's Hands-On Financial Calculator Workshop. I did it last week, and it is going to be available on YouTube shortly.
Fantastic. So they can access that. Mm-hmm. And you have other topics that you talk about. What other topics do you cover?
Well, I'm going to go back to the calculator. The reason I teach that calculator class is so people learn about financing and the opportunities that you can have to save money that every day, right, or to make money using financing. And yes, I do teach other classes like creative real estate financing techniques and strategies, note class, exchanging, how to find deals, how to find them. Okay. A lot more I can't even think of.
That long list. So if you want that information, you need to go to BillTanInvestments.com and look at the schedule. Also, LAREI you can find usually through Meetup. Is that your most common way of finding
LAREI. I call it LAREI, LAREIA.
Right.
And if you Google that, right now we have a Meetup. I'm building the website.
Okay.
However, they can get in touch with me by either emailing me bill@BillTanInvestments.com. That's okay. Bill@BillTanInvestments.com. Or LAREIA@gmail if you want to talk about the
Okay, great. And then that'll get them started on their journey. And the great thing is about your club is a great place for people to come and kick the tires a little bit and see, I've heard about this, I've seen some TV shows, I'm not sure I want to do it, but they can actually get comfortable. And every time there's a meeting, there's a mix of I'm just checking this out, I don't even know if I want to do this, to the people that I've got a multi-million-dollar portfolio and I'm happy to talk with people about it.
And what's wonderful is those latter people that you're talking about, the ones who are very experienced and very knowledgeable, are more than willing to share.
Yeah, that's what you find out. Now, a lot of people in those meetings, they'll be new and they'll say, how can I find someone to mentor me and basically download all this knowledge into me? And I tell them that's the wrong approach. The approach is identify what you want to do, talk with people that do those things, find someone that you can relate to, and then figure out what can I do to help them and benefit them. This is, if I can bring something to their party, then they will be happy to help train and teach me because I'm offering a benefit to them. And we do this in our company. We have people out there that help us find investors. Well, how do they learn what we're doing? They help us find money for our deals. We have people that go out there and bird dog properties for us because we don't buy anything that's listed. And they do a lot of that grunt work for us. We teach them how to do it. We give them the tools and the software in exchange for them helping us and taking that burden off our plate. And guess what? They get to learn. We have people that invest with us. And if they are a large enough investor, they'll come in and they say, look, I'll invest, but I want a seat at the table because I want to learn. I got no problem with that. If you're bringing the money in to do a deal, I'm happy to share everything we have with you. There's nothing proprietary about what we do.
Well, you and I, people say, like, it was a very good way to put it, download into me, and you and I both go, well, what's in it for me? That's a radio station that everybody's
We have full calendars. We have busy things, a lot of things to do, yes.
So what do you bring, what can you bring to me to help me that would make me want to download into you?
That's right. And so anybody out there, if you want to get into any of these or learn how to do note investing or get into land or do fix and flips, go find the people, go to these clubs, find the people that do it, build a relationship. People want to work with who they know, like, and trust, not just some stranger that comes up and says, what can you do to help me? And then figure out by talking to them what you can do to ease their pain, solve their problem. Just like we talked about buying these notes. There's a need. There's something that they need help with. And if you can help provide that for them, and a lot of times you don't need a lot of training or expertise or any certificates or licenses to do it, it's just grunt work. And you're helping them. If you can do that, they'll be happy to share information with you because by sharing information, they're training you so you can help them and you're learning too.
Well, Zig Ziglar said it best. If you help enough people get what they want, they will help you get what you need.
Love Zig Ziglar. Yes, we miss him. Yeah, he's his basic philosophy. He was one of those guys that says the things that are just absolute common sense, and yet we all need to hear it.
And we don't think about it until he said it.
So he said it, you say, well, okay, duh, we all knew that, but nobody's articulated like that before. And I noticed most of the modern day gurus basically rehash a lot of his stuff and kind of package it as their own now, because he was the first one out there doing that, I think. All right, so to kind of put a bow on this, if you want to get in this business and if you want to be successful in this, and Bill, I'm going to tell people this, even if you don't want me to, you've been very successful in this business. Is that right? I'm thinking you've done very
okay.
well. 30 plus years. I know you've built a portfolio. You've built a following. I know there's people out there that if Bill Tan's speaking, they will drop everything and run. You have connections with the people in this business that know pretty much everything. I mean, big names, people that fill up 1,500 seat ballrooms for lectures and seminars and workshops. And I know that's the kind of people you hang with. So if you want to go to that place, if you want to be one of those people that takes a big bite out of this real estate business, start by going to places like LAREIA. If you're in the San Diego area, SDCIA. If you're in the inland, there's
Inland Empire.
Inland Empire Group. There's groups in Coachella Valley. There's groups across the country, in Florida, and in New York, and in St. Louis. I don't care where you are, there's a real estate investment club out there. Start with that. Start with your ears open. Come in humble. Be ready to learn. Just soak it up like a sponge. Make connections. Meet people. Build relationships, and then figure out, I think I want to do this. I think these are the kind of people I want to work with. And I think if I talk to them, I can offer this to help them, and then maybe I can be a part of this whole thing. That is probably the recipe to do well. You don't need to have a lot of cash or a lot of money up front. I will tell you, I've started 2 very successful real estate and development businesses with $0 out of my own pocket. And the first company I had, we did over $1 billion of transactions over a period of about 7-8 years.
You worked a lot harder than I want to.
Well, that's the funny thing is I have 2 partners, and by the way, they're older and wiser than I am. Between the 3 of us, we add up to maybe 1 full-time employee. That's a crazy thing, and that's why we don't do construction. We just do the land. And I tell people, our business model is based upon 2 things: laziness and greed. What's the most amount of money we can make for the least amount of effort between us? And that seems to work pretty well. So channel those negative characteristics and make them work.
I just add 1/3 one and helping people along the way.
That actually happens too. We find out by helping people, the byproduct is we make a lot of money doing it. I know that you've helped a ton of people, and I know that the stories and the testimonials are out there of people that you've helped go from, I don't know if I can do this, and I'm struggling to pay the bills, to I've got a portfolio and I'm doing really well, and I know a lot of them owe a lot of, at least in part, to what you've done and what you've taught them. Because I hear them. I hear the people talking. They're out there. We kind of run in some of the same circles. So.
I don't hear them.
You don't hear them? Yeah. But they're out there. And so I would encourage anybody to get out there, and it's a new year. A lot of people set resolutions. I'm not a fan of resolutions. I find people set a list of resolutions they'll never do because it's too much, too unfocused. And the key is they never assigned money and time and specific people to help them to get it done. And until that happens, it ain't going to happen. So forget resolutions. Set goals that have execution strategy, and you have committed, this is how much money I'm going to spend on this. This is the people I need to include to make this happen, the people I need to contact with. These are the other resources I need, and I'm going to make a point of that. And then don't make it a year. People dramatically overestimate what you can do in a year. If you start a real estate business, you are not going to be a millionaire by the end of this year.
I'm not?
Probably not.
Shucks.
In fact, for some of the projects like we do, they take longer than a year to do. You'll be behind in a year, but way ahead in 2 years, right? Figure these things out. We have an action plan, and each year go back and figure out, what do I need to do to adjust it, and stick with it. People, while they underestimate what they can do in a year, they overestimate that. They dramatically underestimate what they could do in, say, 5 or 10 years.
One of the biggest lessons I ever learned was from a friend of mine. His name is Mike. And what I learned was, after every deal I've done, or every lesson I've learned, I write it down. I write it down in a journal. What worked, what didn't work, what would I do differently?
Yes, the lessons learned.
The lessons
You do a forensics on it. That's right.
And read it over. Don't just put it away.
Yeah, read it back over. And also, as you do that, if you go back and read what you did a long time ago, you'll realize how far you've come. And then we always feel, no matter how expert we get, we always feel a little bit like a babe in the wood when there's a new project that we haven't dealt with before. There's something we don't know yet. There's always a learning curve with what we're doing. And you can go back and read and say, well, look at all the stuff we've done, and we've done it successfully. So I guess we're okay.
Yeah, well, just like with you, people say, gosh, you're so smart. You know all this stuff. Well, it only took us 30 years to learn it.
Exactly. It was not overnight, yeah.
We're an overnight success after 30 years, right?
Yeah. So I want to thank Bill Tan for being on our show today. Contact him, BillTanInvestments.com, Bill@BillTanInvestments.com, or go find LAREIA on Meetup. Or LAREIA club at gmail.com. Get started. I'm Steve Matley. If you want any information from me, I am at coast-2coast.com, COAST-2coast.com, and you can see what my company does and what we do in real estate. We will see you next time on Real Men of Real Estate.
KCAA and KCAA Internet Television.